So today I'm going to record a start to finish edit on the photo that I'm also posting today. If you're curious and want to see the final image, jump over to Instagram. My handle is FR33water. So I'm going to just get my screen recording going here and we'll jump right into this edit. I'm using Lightroom today. One of the first things I will do is crop the photo for Instagram. Like I said, start with the crop. Go to 4:5 8:10 for Instagram. I like this big view that's behind my buddy Calvin here. So I'm going to keep this pretty wide, but also I really like to include foreground. This is a pretty important part of the photo as well right here. Just so we'll hit done there. I'm actually going to open that back up and hit auto. This horizon looks a little crooked. It said it couldn't straighten it, so I'm going to do my best here. He looks like he's standing pretty straight, so we kind of want the subject and the background to be as straight as can be. We'll go there. And yeah, I'm just going to go down through all the sliders and show you guys what I'm doing. One thing that I do pay close attention to is kind of matching the tones on this image to my Instagram. Normally on the left here, I would have my Instagram feed so I can look back at the colors of the previous photo to kind of match the tones. So that's where the color inspiration comes from, but you can't see that just because of the screen recording. So I warmed this photo up. The temperature sliders are huge in Lightroom, so we're going to take this over to about just under 6,000, I think, right there. Yeah, you can see that's kind of adding a little more warmth to both the greens here and the background. And then from there, I'm going to bring the brightness up a little bit, maybe about half a stop, just so we can get kind of more depth. And I'm going to do something to pull these highlights way down, so we'll start working on that already, so you can kind of start to see way more definition in all the layers here. Pull this to maybe there, and I'm going to come back up and adjust the contrast. I want his jacket, I want this foreground to stay nice and dark so this pops like its own layer. So like I said, one thing I do focus on a lot is creating these different layers. I think it's really important to not just post an image that feels 1D or 2D, but I know this isn't a 3D photo, but because of all these layers, it draws you in, it pulls the viewer in more. So that is one thing I do focus on with a lot of my edits. I'm going to pull this contrast up quite a bit, about 20, I think. I'm going to come down and bring my shadows up. I do want to, like I said, just continue to bring up some of the foreground light as well, maybe to about 20 or 21. And then blacks, I'm going to leave this alone, maybe drop it down. I want to add to that contrast, if anything. I'm going to come down to the tone curve really quick. I'm not going to do a custom one for this particular image, but I do just want to add more contrast in general, so I'm going to change this to medium. That already creates a little bit more shape in the tone curve here, just a little bit more punch. I can show you I'll undo that. I'll show you what that did there. So medium contrast just added a lot more punch to, all the shadows kind of off in the distance and to the foreground and to the background as well. So we'll come back up, we'll put a little bit of clarity, not too much. You got to be really careful with the clarity sliders on some edits like this. So we'll pull that up to 9, and I do like the dehaze feature in Lightroom. About 8. Yeah, that's just kind of, I'll put that back to 0 and show you again what that did. Just kind of watch this layer right here. Pull this up to 8. So yeah, it kind of added more definition and sharpened up the blacks and kind of added more detail as well. Now we're going to add some vibrance and saturation to the photo. I'm going to bring this up even more. I like a pretty saturated image to about 8. All set there. I am going to tweak these a little bit. I'm going to pull this up 5. And we'll come down to the shadows, down a little bit. In our darks, we'll leave alone. I want it to stay pretty contrast heavy and kind of punchy. Like I said, on my Instagram grid, I have kind of like greens and blues and a little bit of gold going, so I'm not going to do a ton of tweaks there, but I will just do a little bit down here in the HSL sliders. Sometimes I go really heavy in the HSLs. For this particular image, I didn't tweak a lot. I tweaked the reds, the oranges, and the blues a little bit, so I'll go through and show you what I did here. Down to about 8 and up to about 5. I'm going to pause on this and grab a brush, take the temperature up to 10. I want the trees to be more golden and kind of golden hour, so we're gonna go temperature 10 and do a little more dehaze on that layer and just kind of paint in a little bit more warmth here, and kind of getting rid of this blue haze that's all over these. Can't really see, it's not really doing a lot. Oh, that's what our flow is, all the way down to 10. You want this to be higher up. You should kind of see more of a change. There we go. As I go over this area, it's going to kind of really make this hopefully more green and yellow. That's how it looked when we were there, rather than this blue cast over the image. Go. Finish painting that in really quick. Just kind of rough, doing this kind of a little faster so you guys don't get too bored and this doesn't take forever, so we're good there. And yeah, we'll come back to our HSLs then and keep tweaking these. We're going to pull this red up a little bit, orange up to 11. I want the blues to keep punching out too, so we'll pull this to maybe between 10 and 13, kind of adding more color throughout the whole photo. Orange, we're going to take this down 5, and blue, going to kind of pull the luminance back on that. I'm not going to do anything with the split toning. Let's see what I did for sharpening. I pulled this up to around 80, and a good trick here is hitting the, I'm on a Mac, so it's the Alt or the Option key, and you can kind of watch this become way more in focus. I usually take this up between 20 and 25. It looks kind of like a coloring book. What that's doing is showing you the kind of ratio between the sharpening amount here and the masking. So I'm going to pull that down again and keep going to about there. I like that. It's really kind of making everything sharper. What else? What else? Down to lens corrections. We're going to check both of these. This was shot with a 70 to 200. So yeah, I really like the layers on this one. I'm not really actually gonna uncheck the bottom one because it does add a little bit of some darker edges. And let's see, we'll keep rolling through here. I'm going to darken my edges just a little bit more. And you can see what that, like if you go extreme, that's what that would do, but that looks a little bit too much for me. That's kind of, I would say, up to the photographer's eye or up to the creator. Pull that down about 10. What else did I do to this image? Grain, just a little bit. And yeah, I like how this is looking right now. I'm going to tweak the temperature in the blue direction just a little bit. Kind of cool it down. Right there. Because now, I like where this is at, but I want to punch these colors a little more. So I'm going to take it into Skylum and show you guys what I do with Skylum to finish the photo. That's pretty much it. I did do one more thing here. Let's pull the highlights down on a gradial filter. I believe that's graduated, I'm sorry, graduated. Pull this down. So yeah, highlights, I like the action that's going on behind him, and I really want to draw people that way, so do that, and kind of pull this contrast up a little bit, and add a little bit of dehaze on those peaks, so those peaks get nice and, see that? So yeah, just reiterating the thing with layers. I'm going to pull this down a little bit further so that looks smooth. Yeah, I'm just punching the mountains more, making this more dramatic, and just kind of adding a little more drama to everything that's going on. I'll hit done there. And I like where this is at, so let's pull this over into Skylum and kind of show you what I'll do in there. So you go edit in Luminar 4. I'll put the links to all these programs and plugins in the description of the video. So I do JPEG, sRGB. It doesn't let you change that. 300 is going to be the resolution that I kick it out of Lightroom in the end, so might as well go 300 over to Skylum, hit edit. Take a sip of coffee here while this jumps into Skylum. I can show you how I finish it there. So just to reiterate, Skylum is kind of a new thing I've been using in my workflow. I've kind of been looking to add either Photoshop or some other type of plugin to further kind of like add just more interest to the photos, but the thing with Skylum is you just have to be really careful with the sliders in the program. You can absolutely just in my opinion really wreck an image if you go too hard in Skylum, so just keep that in mind. Everything is in there as a tool, and you need to kind of use it as a tool. So some people use it to create art. I'm using it to add some punch to my photography. I am starting to dabble in a little bit more Photoshop work and adding some different elements to the images, but I'm not really in that sense creating anything fake or that kind of thing. So alright, here we go into Skylum. There are lots of looks collections that you can use, so maybe we'll start with checking out these different looks. See if any of these fit. It doesn't look like that category is going to work for this image. Let's go to landscape and see if any of these will fit. And in the end, I might use one that's like a user. Yeah, let's jump to my user look. So these are ones that I have saved previously. So for the same reason, I can get the same colors and tones on my Instagram and keep my grid looking consistent. I will save my looks. So this one is one of my looks. I call this winter white and blue. Let's click on that. And that looks pretty good to me. That punched a lot more layer and color into this whole image. And I don't ever do 100. I'm gonna pull this way back because like I said, it almost looks fake at that point. I want it to look like what it looked like when I was there and not really ruin the beauty of actual nature. I don't really like when I see photos that are just taken to a really extreme level, but then there is art. So I respect people that are artists and they choose to go that direction with their art. This is my particular style. So we'll go through, here we go, in the lighting, very little. So we just added 5 for smart contrast here. I like the contrast tool in Skylum, so down to AI enhance. I'm actually going to add a little bit of sky enhance too, and I'm going to pull back the accent ever so slightly, so I can turn that off for you. This adds a lot to the photo. This is going to punch the clouds out more, just add way more dynamicness to all the layers here. Click that back on. Color, we're going to just bring this vibrance up 10. It just kind of keeps adding more color to our photo. I like how this has gone from kind of this green gold down here to blue and gold back in this corner. I really like all the colors going on here. Detail enhancer, I'm going to sharpen this a little bit. I'm also going to add a little bit more golden hour to this.